Hey everybody, welcome back to Living Traditions Homestead. We are out in Waddlesville today. There are some big changes happening here in Waddlesville. Now, for those of you who may be new, Waddlesville is a section of our homestead that our subscribers named about a year or so ago now, maybe a little over a year ago already, where we have our ducks, our geese, silky chickens, and quail. It's been kind of an experimental area. We've never had all of these animals together in one spot before. And then just recently, we moved some new chickens in here as well.
Those are Polish crested chickens. Kevin bought me kind of an assortment of the Polish crested chicks for Valentine's Day. And they were in the brooder for a while and then out here in a chicken tractor to kind of get used to being outside. And so actually today Kevin and I have been already hard at work for quite a while working out here in Waddlesville.
But the first big update that we want to give you today in Waddlesville, you may already be able to see behind me, and that is, you guys, that the geese have hatched out their goslings. I think we are going to have a surprise this morning. Last night when we were coming around to lock up all of the animals, in by our geese, we could hear peeping. Now, if you've been watching us for a while, you know our geese, we have 3 female and 1 male goose. They've been sitting on eggs for the last month or so. They've had about 20 eggs that they're sitting on, and so I'm pretty sure that yesterday those eggs started to hatch. We've been giving you kind of updates on this for the last, I don't know, month, 6 weeks or so as the geese started to lay eggs and they sat on them. Now, they had about 20 eggs that they sat on, and only about 6 of them ended up hatching.
But during that process, we lost 2 of the goslings, and now we have 4 alive, and they're doing really well.
They actually hatched a little over a week ago already, close to 10 days ago already, and they are doing just fantastic. They have been following their parents around everywhere that they go. We've kind of sectioned off a little spot here in Waddlesville just for them so that they can just kind of be one big happy family, but not have to compete with the ducks and the silkies and the other animals here in Waddlesville.
They kept them inside their house for probably about 4 or more days, 4
Right.
or 5 days. They barely came out. We made sure to keep food and water inside the goose house for them. And then on about day 5 or 6, they started bringing the goslings out. It's been so fun to watch them walk around. And you guys, I cannot believe how much they've grown already in 7 to 10 days. I bet they've almost doubled in size.
Yeah, and the goslings are out here already. They're eating grass. They're eating the pellets that we have for them. We did buy a special duck and goose pellet for them, which has extra niacin in it. And then we also, though, are putting niacin in their water because the goslings, well, geese, waterfowl in general, need more niacin than chickens do. And so we got special feed for them, and we put it in their water just to make sure that the goslings are getting everything that they need. So that's the first thing we wanted to share with you about Waddlesville. The exciting news that for the first time ever here on our homestead, we have baby goslings that were actually hatched by the geese. We have another big update for you, and that is dealing with the quail. Let's walk over to the quail hoop coop so I can share some news with you. About a year ago, maybe just a little less than a year ago, I shared with you guys that I wanted to do an experiment with raising quail in a hoop coop instead of in cages. I've made it clear all along that this was only an experiment and I wasn't sure how it was going to go. I wanted to give it a really fair shot. I wanted to go through all of the seasons at least once. So I went through most of last summer, we went through last fall, we went through the winter, and now we've gone through the spring, and we're about to head back into summer. And as you can see, the hoop coop behind me is now empty. After going through all of that time, I have made the kind of tough decision that raising the quail in this way just wasn't working out. There were a number of things that I just wasn't real happy with. There were some things that I thought were great. I enjoyed that they didn't have to be on wire cages. That was really nice. Um, I enjoyed that the quail had more room to move around, and that all in all they were able to live a more kind of natural life. But you guys, when it came to things like collecting eggs, it was a nightmare. Trying to find the eggs that they buried in here every single day was very time consuming. You were never really sure if you found them all and whether or not the eggs you were collecting that day were really fresh. And so that always made us a little bit nervous. I mean, we tried our hardest to find them all every day, but 10 or 15 minutes of looking around in there, you got to move on to other things after that. In the winter, it was very hard with water freezing, and I'll be honest, over winter we lost about 50% of the quail that were in here. I think that was for a number of reasons. They didn't do well, I don't think, out here in the cold. I think it got much colder out here than it does in the barn where we normally raise them. And also, over the winter, we took this black tarp off and we had a clear tarp on because we thought it would give them more warmth. But for some reason, when we had that clear tarp on, it made them much more flighty. And every time you would go in here, they would jump up, and I think that some of them, as they jumped up and flew, were actually injuring themselves because they got so scared and hit against the walls, and then a day or two later, you would find them dead. So we did put some trees and things in there. I showed you guys all of that. We tried a bunch of different things. Some things helped a little bit, but nothing actually rectified the situation. So, after going through all of the seasons, we have now decided that raising quail in this way just isn't going to work. And to be honest, we haven't decided yet what we're going to do as far as quail here on the homestead. I have enjoyed raising them in the past. I'll be honest, I still have one cage of young ones that I hatched out this spring. I haven't decided that yet if I'm going to keep some of those as breeders and continue on with them, or if when they get to the butchering age, I'm just going to process them and be done with them for a while. I'll make that decision when I get to that point, but for now and probably going forward, there will not be any more quail out here in Waddlesville.
Now, another big change that we have actually shared with you already is that the ducks kind of moved out of the duck and goose house when the geese started laying. The geese started becoming really protective of the eggs, and they weren't being very nice to the ducks, so the ducks ended up moving in with the silkies. Well, the silky house is actually much smaller than is needed for all those ducks and all the silkies, and actually when we got the Polish crested chickens, our plan was to have the silkies and the Polish crested chickens live together. So that's kind of left nowhere for the ducks to be. And really living with the silkies and the Polish crested, that's just too many birds in one small coop. So when Kevin decided that he wanted to move on from raising quail out here at least, we decided that this coop, which is actually quite a bit bigger than the silky coop, would be a perfect place for the ducks. We also decided that because this coop has a floor on the bottom, that this would actually be better for our ducks, because our ducks, when it gets wet at all, they're digging in there, they're making muddy messes, and then their eggs get really gross. They don't lay in a nesting box. They like to lay kind of in a hole in the ground and cover them up. That's just natural for ducks. But when it's soppy and yucky in the ground, it makes for really dirty eggs, and it's just not a hygienic situation overall. So some of the changes that we've done is we are turning this into a duck coop, and that will actually be starting tonight.
So this is the chicken tractor where the Polish chickens currently are living. We've had them in here for probably 6 weeks or so, maybe a little less than that. and they are now ready to be integrated into the other birds here in Waddlesville. Sarah talked to you a minute ago about the fact that these guys are going to actually move in with the Silkies. Well, that is going to happen tonight. These guys are about 11 weeks old, which means they're big enough to kind of fend for themselves along with the Silkies. So tonight after dark, we will catch these guys and we will move them into the Silky coop. The best way to integrate two flocks of chickens is to do it after dark. When everybody's asleep, they don't see real well at that time, and then the next morning they kind of all wake up together, and a lot of times that makes it go a little bit smoother. There is some chance that the roosters might kind of, duke it out a little bit for see who's the top spot, but all in all, these silky roosters are very mellow, and these guys are young, so chances are they're not going to challenge the silky roosters much at all. So I expect this to be a very easy transition. We are going to set up kind of a temporary little pen in front of the silky coop just for the next week or so that these guys learn that that coop is their new home, instead of giving them access to all of Waddlesville. It will also kind of force them to spend time with the Silkies, and hopefully they can all bond and become good friends. So that is going to all happen tonight after dark. We may get that pen set up as well after everybody goes in for the night. We'll just have to see if they wait till it's completely dark to go in, or if they go in while there's still a little bit of daylight. Either way, by tomorrow morning when they wake up, there will be a new pen kind of in front of the silky coop, and these guys will be in there living with them. So we will meet back up with you guys tomorrow morning. You'll be able to see everybody come out of their new homes for the first time, and we'll see how everybody does living together in Waddlesville. It's the next morning. We separated all of the animals last night. We didn't get a chance to put up that temporary pen outside of the silky coop, so we still need to do that this morning before we let those guys out. But before we get busy doing that, we are going to let the ducks and the geese out because they're anxious to get their breakfast. Good morning, ducks. Good morning. You guys get it all today. Now typically the ducks lay their eggs early in the morning before we let them out. So let's go in and see if we have some nice clean duck eggs. Oh, I see quite a few. Here's one, look at that. Now I know this is fresh bedding, so they're probably not going to stay this clean every day. Here's two more. That's 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 eggs this morning. We have 9 female ducks, so 6 eggs out of 9 ducks isn't too bad. All right, let's let the geese and the goslings out because they're anxious to get their breakfast too. Good morning. I know you don't like me. It's okay. I don't want to hurt your babies.
Well, the Polish and the Silkies are in this coop together here. On first observation, it looks like things are going pretty well in there. Not a whole lot of squabbles that we've been able to see or hear since we've been out here this morning. Now, we did bring over one of these trough feeders that we normally have over when we feed the ducks and the Silkies together. We want the Polish chickens to get used to eating out of this trough. Now, before we let them out and open that up, we are, like we said yesterday, going to build a temporary run kind of fence area out here. We're just going to use 3 hog panels, and this will just basically train the Polish that at night, that's where they go back in. rather than being able to run all around this big area of Waddlesville. We're concerned that they'll just not know where to go at night. So for a few days, maybe at most a week, we'll have them just kind of in this run area during the day, so there's no confusion as to where they go at the end of the day. So 3 hog panels and just a few T-posts, and that'll be set up for them and they can come out. Okay, let's let them out. Come on, guys. Well, it seems like everybody is getting along well with their new roommates, their new house locations, and their new pen style. Now, these temporary pens, well, for the chickens, we're going to leave them there for a week or so to let them get acclimated. Then we'll take that down so they can integrate with the ducks.
Now, once the goslings are fully feathered, the plan is to actually separate them from our 4 older geese. We're going to move the goslings into our chicken moat area to help with keeping the weeds and everything else down in that area, because geese love to eat grass. In fact, they mainly want to eat grass. And so that was kind of our plan all along, is that these goslings will live in the chicken moat area all summer, and then this fall they'll be going into the freezer. That's what we originally wanted to raise geese for, was for meat. So every year, however many goslings they hatch out is how many we'll be putting into the freezer for that following winter.
So you guys, we hope you enjoyed this update of what has been going on and the future of Waddlesville. We hope you enjoyed that. We're so glad that you came along.
If you're enjoying videos like this, make sure you hit that subscribe button before you leave. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. And as always, the absolute best way that you can help us is just by sharing our videos across your social media. Until next time, thank you so much for stopping by the homestead. Take care, and God bless.
God bless.